There's a colour for every occasion, and with it, a meaning. Red is impassionate, exciting, arousing, whereas yellow may well remind us of the moon, especially in desert cities, whereas blue brings us all down to a cooler, calmer state of being. Just as the colours used by the early works of Andy Warhol have excited and intrigued, propelled and stimulated down the years, in the same way there are shades which fills the palettes of China's classical artists, drawn from the tones of heaven and earth. It is said that these are the colours of the universe. Deep. Let us start from black. Something in and of itself rather startlingly chilling. In Chinese tradition, black, because of the fact that ink was derived from the charring of grease or wood, is a very deep, matte colour, and it's this colour that's the basis of shading in Chinese art. Landscapes are often drawn just with this one colour alone, just as dancers did during the 2008 Beijing Olympics opening ceremony. Chinese art has minimalist values. Less is more. So white as emptiness would be a vital element. Porcelain is a wonderful example of this principle. So in my head, I often have this vision of a bunch of British merchants gathered around a Chinese trader at the docks, and in his hand, he has a piece of porcelain, and he's stating its origin, which is an ancient city called Changnan. And of course, neither of them speak the same language. So on the one side, you've got the Chinese chap saying, Changnan, Changnan, Changnan. And the British chaps are saying, what on earth is he saying, old bean? Well, I have no idea, actually. What do you think he might be saying? Well, he only seems to be saying China. Changnan, Changnan. Changnan, Changnan. Changnan, Changnan. China. Maybe, well, that's how China got its name. Now, no one can say for sure, but at the very least, China's porcelain is almost certain to have done the same. Changnan itself was at that time perhaps the most prestigious source of Chinese fine porcelain and was much prized around the world. Now, should one search on a modern map, however, it would be very wise to know beforehand that during the Song dynasty, about 1,000 years ago, the emperor at that time conferred upon it directly a new and more prestigious name, Qing. Now, in China, you may probably know that the most valuable of all is the Qing or blue and white porcelain. Well, actually, Qing is a very typical and complicated colour, and it's uniquely Chinese. It actually means blue or green or black, depending on the context. Now, it's a bit too complicated to explain in the time we've got together today, but I will tell you that the price of porcelain itself is affected because in the kiln process, the colours will transform and evolve slightly during the firing and the heat, and Qing is a really hard colour to control. So, this particular example was very cleverly crafted into a very famous pop song. Now, as for yellow, if when speaking of well, yeah, if Chris Martin's right, then that's what yellow is. But the roots of civilization might offer up a slightly more substantial reason. The colour of the soil, which gives the Yellow River its name, and colour, as well as nourishing the roots of early man and his crops, is perhaps slightly more rationally associated with a sense of awe and reverence. It goes, therefore, that it should be acquired culturally down the years as a symbol of power. Yellow is indeed the power suit of the ancient world and was a choice of colour for the robes of Chinese emperors down the ages. Closely positioned to power is another colour. In gazing across the gloriously golden rooftops of the Forbidden City, the historical centre of China's power for many centuries, red is also very quick to grab the attention. China's sportsmen and their team colours, their festival decorations, traditional costumes, including marriage costumes, official seals and stamps, all are red. Red, yellow, white, Qing, black, could almost be called China's primary colours, and indeed they bring China's art, people and places to life, not to mention their stories. So it's not uncommon in the modern day as China and its culture become more and more understood for artists and designers to incorporate this ancient palette into their works, from the oldest of the old world to the newest of new fashions. Keep your eye out next time you walk down the high street, for the colours of China may well be dressing the windows. I'm David. Hit like, hit subscribe, go to our Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. But until next time, make sure you keep it open.